This is a very excited moment. Hello, everyone. I'm your friend Karamo, and this is Entertainment Weekly's Noah Ark post-reunion Q&A with the entire cast and the creator of the show. Now, I am a big fan of Noah's Ark. This is a show that redefined a culture, spoke to our concerns, entertained us, made us laugh, made us cry. And I'm so excited that we have had this Corona revival and that potentially this will be the first of maybe a renewal of Noah's Ark. I'm putting it out in the universe. We all need to put this out in the universe because I need to see this show back on the air. But without further ado, you all didn't come here for me. You all came here for this amazing, amazing cast. Let me go ahead and introduce every single one of them right now. First up is actor, author, and activist, the man whose journey we all followed. Give it up for Darryl Stevens, who played Noah Nicholson.
What's up?
Also, we have the man who had us all swooning, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, who has a wide acting range and truly an ally to the LGBT plus community. Everyone, give it up for Jensen Atwood, who played Wade Robinson. As well, we have the very funny, quick-witted, and one of the best dancers, choreographers that I know. Give it up for the none other Rodney Chester, who played Alex Kirby.
Hey.
Next up, we have writer, director, producer, and actor. This is a man who brought the class and posh to every episode. Give it up for Doug Spearman, who played Chance Counter. Now, this next person is an actor, off-Broadway star, dancer, choreographer. He owned his ex-sexuality in every episode and wasn't afraid to go there. Give it up for the very handsome Christian Vincent, who played Ricky Davis. Next up, we got cultural icon, actor, sex symbol, because if y'all didn't see this new body, sex symbol is all he's given nowadays on top of his acting skills. Wilson Cruz, who played Nico Vargas. And let's give it up for Detroit's very own actor, musician, a talented sweet man, GREGORY KIETH, who played Trey Iverson. And we cannot forget writer, director, singer, and visionary, the man who created Noah's Ark and the reason we are all here today, Patrick Ian Poe. All right, now that we got through the intro, everybody knew who y'all were anyway, but I still go through it. How's it feeling? What's going on? How's everyone doing? Does it feel nice to be back together? You know, this is 15 years later.
Absolutely.
Surreal.
Absolutely.
Very surreal.
We're not really together. We're just we're in a Zoom meeting.
That is true, Darryl. That is true, Darryl. So, Darryl, you know, I'm glad you said that you're not together. So let's bring this first question to you. It's 15 years later since Noah's Ark premiere. What was it like jumping back into this role and working together, but in like the new Corona world we're living in?
Yeah, it was interesting. We shot my stuff all together one day. At the beginning of the day, didn't know what I felt like I didn't even know who Noah was anymore. Patrick had to really sort of walk me through who he is, how he responds to things, the way he talks, all that stuff. But I think the opening shot really kind of brings it all back into this, brings us back into this world pretty well. It's fun to have Rodney to bounce off of in that first scene, and you know, the rest of y'all, we're bouncing off of each other now. But it's a very interesting way he's put this. Patrick has put all this together for us to work together, even though we're not together, right?
When I tweeted out that this was happening, someone said, are we going to get some of the iconic Noah or Darryl hairstyles? Because let's be real, you used to come with different styles every bit. I know you didn't have it. But...
And the answer is no. This is what you're getting.
No, what I will say I love about this reunion is not just the chemistry, is still there. Which, you know, after 15 years, you can think, well, will it still work? And all of you work together so amazing. It feels like we've been transported back to what we loved and what we knew, but also this script in this moment is addressing what's happening now, which I thought was the power of what Noah's Ark always was about. It addressed what's going on, especially from the perspective of Black and Latino, gay, queer, trans people. And some of these things went from like everything, so I want to go specifically into some of these topics that you all address. And I want to start with Christian. I mean, your character sort of addresses hooking up in the age of Corona, which I think is very interesting because I got a lot of friends right now who are on lockdown. They tired. They're trying to do their best to stay in the house. But we also know that Black and brown people are disproportionately at risk right now. So what was it like for you to be sort of like, again, back in this character who's like, hey, I'm gonna have sex no matter what's going on, but also like, how did it feel to address something so important right now that many gay men are struggling with about how to have sex and how to still engage in intimacy during the Corona crisis?
It's just in general coming back and getting back to this character is surreal. But I think he brings necessary topics as far as like intimacy during the pandemic. The need for I just had a friend text me just the other day saying the need for touch, how that is, for all of us. It's like you for your mental health, and for whether it be sexual, whether it be friendly, whatever that is. I think we all need that, and being isolated for all of us, depending on who you're with, is a toll on top of the social issues that are going on. I've been with my family, and I think the conversations that we've been having would not have happened if we weren't in quarantine. I've learned beyond, like, I have my mother, I have my father, and I do it a lot. I mean, I don't have a love interest to be holding on to, but I'm hugging my mother, I'm hugging my father, I'm hugging my brother. And as far as the racial issues, there are things I think I'm talking to my parents. I mean, my parents, I didn't know, could not buy their business, their building, and be seen. They bought a building without being seen because of the nature of where we live. I mean, just recently we had riding my bike down the street, and I see a Confederate flag in Canada.
In Canada?
In Canada. And you think, this isn't even our history. It's not even Canadian history. So I know you asked about intimacy. I think it's something gay, straight, whatever. We all are suffering from the lack of contact with our loved ones, with our friends. And I think it's hard, especially for people of color, to deal with and face that we are in a country that was based on white supremacy. Yeah. And whether everyone wants to acknowledge it or not, it's the truth. And it hits me because I think about my parents. Yeah. And the conversation we've had, and even ask my brother, I'm like, what happened to you in high school? And I didn't want to know. I knew what happened to me in high school. So this show, I think the reason why I'm back is because it was ahead of its time. It was poignant and necessary. I don't think not enough people got to see it. And I'm hoping that its revival inspires the fans. And I think Patrick has written something that is very poignant and will hit home.
Well, Christian, what you just said, which I think is really great about why you were involved and why it's back, and also your experience right now, which is so true, is that it was ahead of its time. And when you talked about that intimacy, I think people forget that intimacy is attached to mental health. And like a lot of people in the brown and Black communities don't really focus on their mental health. And what I've always loved about Noah's Ark is that it never shied away from having the fun, having a kiki, having a good time, but it also addressed what we were feeling emotionally and mentally and how we went through it. And I think, Rodney, your character, there's a scene that I remember where you're like, I need to smoke my weed to deal with my corona nerves, which I thought was such a funny way of talking about, like, listen, give me what I gotta get. I need to do what I gotta do because I'm feeling a little stressed. But I think many people are dealing with those anxieties and are finding different ways to cope. For you, why was it important for, to have your character still address in a very funny but poignant way that, look, we are dealing with a lot right now, and this is how I'm coping, how y'all coping?
You mean dealing with the HIV and all that?
Yeah, well, no, with coronavirus here, but everything. Yeah, we could talk about, I think we're all, as brown and Black people, dealing with all these things with our mentality. Right. But in the script, you deal with sort of like your corona nerves. And so I just thought it was interesting of like how we need to really address, like, we're all having this anxiety and why it's important for you to continue to address that.
Right. Well, I think more than anything, it was important because when Patrick first said that we were living in the corona, and these are things that we're living in right now, it was just so interesting how it was going to come about. And in the show, it's like this is what we live in and what we're dealing with, and doing just being in the moment with everything that's happening. It's just been crazy. So I know for me, I just tried to portray it that that's what we were in, but I still was trying to be, funny and add the comic to it, just be kind of fun with the friends. We still living in the corona.
Okay. But you got to like what you do, and with the ease is your one-liners. The wit is about talking about topics that are really hard, because through the ease of comedy is how we start to process our emotions, which you do with such grace, which is why we all, after when Noah's Ark premiered, I can tell you for a good year, me and my friends were only saying Rodney lines. It was like whatever Rodney catchphrases you had. Like, I want the Rodney catchphrases back more and more and more. Like, I haven't even called it my corona nerves, but now I'm gonna start calling it my corona nerves.
There you go.
Okay.
But you gotta cut up. You gotta make light to the situation at some point, because it's a lot going on now. It really is. So a part of that is being happy and trying to bring the comic to it.
Man. And Doug, your character has always on the show been someone who was a little bit more mature, brought sort of the class to everything. You know what I mean? Had a couple of moments where you like let your hair down. No pun intended as bald men, but you always were somebody who, brought that. And I thought there was a moment in the script where you're calling and you're talking about, sort of the statues and sort of taking down the statues and race relations. And we heard Christian bring that up before, of like, we are in a moment where we're dealing with a pandemic, but we're also talking about Black lives. But often we don't talk about Black lives from the queer lens. And what I thought was important about your scene was that we were talking about Black lives and how the racism affects us, but from a Black, gay, and queer lens. How does that make you feel to know that you're bringing that perspective out through this character?
Wow, great question. So I don't live in LA anymore. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. And 3 weeks ago, I happened to be driving down Tulane Boulevard and watched them tear down a statue. And I just happened to be driving down the street, and they tore down a guy who had been a slave owner. And I was just like, wow, that's a thing. So that pedestal is what we're using in the show. But, I was, Sunday night, I went out to a friend of mine's house on Lake Pontchartrain, and I was driving through this beautiful neighborhood, and I realized that the Google Maps had given me a voice direction to turn left on Robert E. Lee Boulevard. And I was just like, it was just like, okay, now I really am living with this stuff in real time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's another street here that's named for the president of the Confederacy, is Jeff Davis Boulevard, which goes through a Black neighborhood. And I'm like, okay, I have to, I always wonder, like, why does a part come into my life at a particular time? Like, what is it that I'm supposed to get out of this? And what am I supposed to do in the real world? And I know that, like, I have already written the city council in New Orleans about, like, getting that GD street name changed. Yeah. I mean, there's no place in Berlin with like a Hitler Boulevard. There's no Goebbels, there is no Goebbels Avenue. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't put up statues to Nazis in Germany. Why should I have to live with my great-grandparents' overlord looking down on me all the time? I mean, it is phenomenal how, if you're not in the space and you don't deal with it on a day-to-day basis, you don't even know how you're affected. Like, it's not, like when I lived in California, I would see the occasional rebel flag, but like, I live here now where this stuff is really active and really top of mind and in my face all the time. So being able to play a character who is, who has a strong family, who has a job, who has chosen, like I did, to move to the South for various reasons, and then have to deal with that. I can't, and neither can Chance, sit silently by and let this just go on. You have to be involved.
This is why Noah's Ark has to come back. Like, seriously. And for everyone listening, if you've never seen the Noah's Ark series back in the day, you need to go back, rewatch, watch every episode, and understand why this show is so important. Not just to Black and brown people, not just to gay people, but to America, because it's funny, it's poignant, it's starting conversations that need to be had. And that's why I'm so excited that the Entertainment Weekly audience is going to be seeing this, introduced to all of you, and learning why this was such a cultural phenomenon. But Wilson, you have been someone who has been a trailblazer for years. For years, you have been setting the tones, and I don't say that like you're an old man, because you're very young. You're very young. I just realized as I said it, I said years. There was no shade behind it, I swear to God. But literally, you have been a trailblazer, and you have been really making sure that representation of Black and brown people and Black and brown gay and queer people have always been in the conversation. From 15 years ago, when this show came out, where we were, how do you think it is to where we are of like seeing Black and brown faces that are gay in television? Do you think we've made progress? Do you think we're still behind? And if you, however you feel, where do you think we need to go?
Well, first of all, thank you. Hi. I say this all the time, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted Noah's Ark so prominently featured in my documentary, Visible. Noah's Ark was really the first series that said, hey, we exist. We are gay men of color, and our lives are worthy of attention. And at the time, that was a revolutionary thing. You have to remember that logo had just come onto the scene. And in terms of visibility of people of color, LGBTQ people of color, there was very little to speak of. And we were working at GLAAD at the time to really start the conversation about expanding the visibility of more of the spectrum of the LGBTQ community. So, people watched Noah's Ark and finally came to realize that there was a whole community that we weren't paying attention to. So when you look at then and you look at now, when we have shows like Pose and Love Victor or Gentified or numerous series across the television landscape, and you see that we have more diversity that shows the complete spectrum of our community, you can't deny that Noah's Ark is a huge reason why that's even possible. There would be no Pose if there was no Noah's Ark, because Noah's Ark allowed people to welcomed people into our community and allowed the conversation to begin. So now that we find ourselves at a time when LGBTQ people of color are ubiquitous across television, it's time to come back and revisit these characters. I found myself during the first shelter at home order, watching shows like, Golden Girls and Designing Women. And I thought, this is great. And I love them. And I'm enjoying this and it's comforting, but I really want to hear from Noah. I want to hear from Rodney. These are the people that I need to hear from right now. So I was thrilled to see that Patrick was thinking along those lines as well. When I kind of nudged him, I was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool?" He was like, "Actually, I'm already thinking about it." I said, "Well, that's fantastic." So, I think I honestly believe that Noah's Ark started the conversation, and more than ever, it needs to be part of the conversation. And I think this episode shows just how relevant and necessary that conversation is.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for nudging Patrick, because we are all in debt too now. But
he was doing it already. We're all, the two of us are always in what is that word? That Italian word?
Simpatico.
We're simpatico, yes.
And also, just shout out to your doc, Visible. Like, people need to check that out. It's very interesting. I think as we're in a space where people are learning and educating themselves. It's about like giving them resources, saying, if you need to learn more about communities that you might not be exposed to and why their stories matter, your documentary is a clear indication of something they should watch. So people, please check that out as well.
Thank you.
So now, Jensen, I want to talk to you real quick because I think, yep, we're talking to you. Because the thing is that I met you when I was 23 years old. We were hosting some nightclub together. And I was like, oh girl, everybody, I'm about to go meet Jensen. You know, I'm single back then. I'm like, that's gonna be my date. And then like, I saw you with your girlfriend and I was like, what? What's going on here? But what I think is interesting about that until to this day is that you have portrayed a gay character and have also maintained a confidence about being a Black man and not feeling as if playing a gay character diminishes you being a Black man, because it does not, as we know. And I love that you've always been a clear ally. What I want you to do, particularly for me, is for anybody who's out there who's saying, oh, well, this is just a show for Black and queer, Black gay queer people or brown gay queer people. What would you say to them to say, no. This show is for everyone. This show is entertaining. This is for everyone. Just as we're seeing in the world right now, as we fight for Black lives, we're saying to people, no, Black queer lives and trans lives matter as well. What would you say to those people to say, listen, come and watch this show as someone who also is straight?
I would say, come get educated. I mean, come watch Noah's Ark and have a discussion maybe that you've never had before. See some things that you never, even crossed your mind. I think Noah's Ark does an amazing job in educating. I have learned a lot in the process of being a part of Noah's Ark. And if people would just open their minds to the world that exists, then, it'd be easier to accept the world that exists. So just watch Noah's Ark. That's what
Well, you know what, something, and I don't want to belabor this, but like your career after Noah's Ark continued to, take off. You started in a show with Halle Berry, you started in other things. And I think there's still this sort of stigma for straight men, especially straight men of color, to think like if I play gay, all of a sudden it's going to stop my career. It did not stop your career. Can you address how it actually only further helped you in being a better actor because you understood the experiences of other people?
Wow, that's a good one, man. Because I think, with a lot of actors, they're scared. They're just scared when it comes to sexuality. I think in the Black community and maybe community in general, sexuality isn't really talked about a whole lot. And so, people never really ask themselves, the questions of why they're attracted to who they're attracted to. And I know with me, even taking on the role, I had to ask myself a lot of questions that never even crossed my mind, because, our sexuality is what our sexuality is. Whatever you Googling on Pornhub, that's pretty much, what your sexuality is.
Take us to Pornhub. Take us to Pornhub.
So you don't have to be so fearful of the world around you. You don't have to worry about being infected. So that's my answer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Because I think sometimes people who could be in a space where they don't understand, especially when they see things, I experienced that with my show. With Queer Eye, people are like, it's called Queer. I'm not for that. And the thing is that Queer Eye these shows are not just for one community, though we want our community to feel seen, represented, to feel visible. We also want other people to know that our stories are just like everyone else's stories. Because Noah's Ark was a love story between two people who were trying to figure out how to navigate their young love lives and their friends being involved and their friends who had love lives. And that's a universal story. That's not about sexuality. It's not about race. Yes, people will feel seen watching it, but it's something that everyone can do. So I love that you're saying expand your mind.
Yeah, and that's why I feel comfortable with the character too, is because, maybe I don't know gay so well, but I do know love. And as far as straight and gay, they run hand in hand.
Preach.
Okay, preach. All right, church. Look, he literally went from Pornhub to church. I just want to make sure y'all know. That's what you get here, all right? Just take us there.
You go from church to Pornhub.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Listen, Gregory, you have been a part of this since day one and have been able to experience such great things with this show. For a younger generation who might have been younger, who didn't see Queer Eye, I said Queer Eye. Ooh, I've been talking about my own show way too much. My bad. So, Gregory, you've been a part of this from the beginning and have been doing so much great stuff. You know, for a generation who doesn't understand the impact and how great Noah's Ark is, can you talk to that younger generation and say, hey, this is why this show is so spectacular?
Wow, that's a hell of a question. I would have to say that, or certainly when we were growing up, or when I was growing up, that there wasn't necessarily a bigger outlet or an outlet at all, whether you were gay or whether you were a nerd or if you're just different in general. So I think for this younger generation, this show was that. Maybe they're too young to have seen it, but if they take the time to look at that show, I think it'll help them transition in this world today, especially considering everything we're going through now.
Amen. That's the truth. And the thing is, I love that all of us, well, I'm not going to give any age aways, but I'm 39, about to be 40. And I remember we were all kind of the same age. And let me tell you something, ain't not one of us, all of our skin is still looking good. So all y'all young people might want to, right? Right there, we just got to, watch and see what we're doing. And come get on this train. Now, Patrick, I want to spend some time with you right now because you are the genius behind this amazing piece of work that we are all here celebrating and so excited to come back. You know, on this show, you got some pretty impressive guest stars, everyone from Wanda Sykes, Titus Burgess. How did you get everyone involved in this project? And also, how did you get this cast back together? Because everybody is working and busy.
Well, I just called everybody, and thankfully everybody said, "Yeah, what, when and where, what are we doing, and how are we doing it?" And the good thing is, you know, because I'm getting everybody together was really cool. It reminded me a lot of like how we were 16 years ago when we were just doing like the short films and stuff, because it was all like, you know, I had wardrobe racks in my place, and you know, we're just doing everything, very small crew. But what I will say about this cast is they're pretty game for anything. They will roll with me pretty much without question, which is a cool thing. That they trust me enough to sort of, you know, just ride with it and trust my word that everything's going to come together. And I'm guessing that they do that because it came together before. But it's, you know, I wanted to sort of up the ante a little bit, and working for now 20 years as a filmmaker, it's sort of like I've discovered through the years that a lot of different people watch this show. Like with Wanda, I saw a tweet that she wrote about Noah's Ark or something. She responded to a Noah's Ark post or something. And I wrote her back and said, you ain't seen no Noah's Ark. And her response was one word, vagina. And I lost it, you know. And then for someone like Titus, who I watch and love, you know, when I called him, he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he said the sweetest thing. He was like, you know, your show was my first experience with Black gay culture. Like in life, your show was the first. And I hear that kind of thing from so many people. Literally today, I was going through sort of DMs and messages to try to, because we're reaching out to fans to, you know, in the beautiful video that played before the episode, where we had a lot of the fans giving testimonials about the show. Like just today, I read a message from a guy who, he didn't tell me what country, but he said, oh, I love your show so much. I would do a video, but, you know, homosexuality is illegal in my country. And I just thought, Jesus Christ. And I heard from another kid in America who was like, when I was 16, my mom found the Noah's Ark DVDs, and that's how I was forced out of the closet. So I hear everything, all kinds of stories from all kinds of people all over the world. And so I just wanted to celebrate 15 years of this show, but also raise the stakes, raise the bar by getting people like Titus
and Wanda, et cetera, to kind of join the party, because the more eyes we can get on it, and also the fact that we have wonderful queer people of color like Wanda and Titus, like doing big things. They're like A-list celebrities. That says a lot about where we have come in the 15 years, because when this started, I could not get, sort of established Hollywood actors to even think about being in this show. Like there was no way. So it really was a wonderful cast of kind of a lot of newcomers and people that were just brave enough to kind of go for it. But it was certainly not like it is now. So I certainly applaud all of you guys for sort of doing it back then, doing it now. And I would love to see a reboot. We've been going back and forth meetings and for two and a half years with Viacom, getting nowhere. And I saw, Will and Grace came back. L Word is back. I hear Queer as Folk is coming back in sort of a new version. There's just all these
Queer Eye.
white gay
Queer
shows.
Eye.
Queer Eye is back, which we love,
Tales of the
All
City
back.
came back.
Tales of the City.
Tales of the City, and I'm just like, well, why what about Noah's Ark? And what's amazing to me is that we still have not seen sort of a show like this where, these Black gay characters are like at the center. Pose comes very close, but Pose is doing its own wonderful thing by highlighting trans lives, which is amazing. But where is something like Noah's Ark today? And what I really appreciate, and I still can't, I'm just gobsmacked by this when I hear, and I've met people like Stephen Canals, Lena Waithe, Justin Simeon, Terrell McCraney, all these wonderful young Black, brown, queer artists who are doing all this amazing work, and they all point to Noah's Ark. Stephen literally said, "You were the blueprint." Lena Waithe was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm finally meeting you." And I'm like, I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. Like, it's weird when you're in it, because when you're in it, I am doing the work. We are doing the work. I'm not thinking about the bigger picture, how it's going to affect. I'm just trying to do really good work. When this show started, my career was about, as a filmmaker, was about not seeing myself anywhere on screen, not seeing any of my friends anywhere on screen. Chance is modeled after my best friend from college, who is a college professor, tenured. At the time when I created it, he was dating a man who had a daughter or a son, and I wanted to see that on television. And that's the case with all the characters. Noah was kind of a version of myself as a writer, a creative in Hollywood trying to make it as a gay man. That's what it was about. And that's what all of my original work has been about. Where are we on the screen? I want to see myself. And I certainly don't want a young Black gay person of color or whatever to have no representation and not see themselves and have no idea of what their life can be. So that's really why the show even came about. And so I'm really proud 15 years later to kind of do this. It's been so much fun revisiting these characters and kind of imagining what they would be like in 2020. It's just really, really cool. It's like everybody's grown up, and so I'm very happy and pleased that everyone has embraced this. Entertainment Weekly, glad. We got really good corporate support. It's been a great thing to come out of Corona to do this.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, this was wonderful. So
what we can all see from the response online when this was announced is that immediately press outlets and thousands upon thousands of people just started to say, yes, finally. I literally am getting chills, God honest, because you felt the energy of everyone saying, finally. And you're right, there is many strides we've made where we see more visibility. You see people who look like you, but we still need this story back. We still need this, which is so great. We're going to be closing up pretty soon, but I kind of want to hit on two things. First of all, I see you got that Janet Jackson shirt on. And people, and throughout this whole thing, people don't know that you were singing the songs. Yes, Janet, Mama Janet. People don't know that you're musical and a musician and that you were singing a lot of the songs that performed in it, but also the main song, Gone Be All Right, was Janet's song. How did you get approval from Janet? Because people who don't know in Hollywood, to play somebody music costs a lot of money, or you got to get the artist to approve it. How did you get Janet to approve? I just need to know.
Well, here's the thing. I'm sure everybody here knows this, but there is not a Black female music superstar, rap, pop, R&B, whatever it is, and even some of the non-Black ones, there's not one of them that I cannot get to, because they all have at least one Black gay man in their immediate circle, and usually more, and all those Black gay men are Noah's Ark fans. So literally anyone. So Janet, I'm lucky enough, I know the guy, Black gay guy, who runs her company. And we've had some experiences with her in the past. She has approved certain things in the past as well, because I've always honored her in various projects. And I just said, I want to use this song. I think it's really uplifting. I don't think a lot of people heard it. It was from her last album, and it's an amazing, amazing song. And I said, this is the theme song that we need for this time, because we need to know that it's going to be all right. And that is the message of this song. We all need a little love when we get down in the dumps, because we gonna be all right.
Amen.
And Janet said yes. She said, absolutely, you have my permission. That is my girl. And
the queen! What? The queen?
Yes.
I like how you put that in your last, like the queen. First of all, let's also take heed for everyone listening. There is power in numbers, and people forget, like, because the media or society will try to tell you, like, we don't have access, we don't have power. But when we come together and go into our networks of other Black, gay, brown, gay, queer people, we can make some changes. And so that's beautiful. But don't drop it into the queen said yes, all nonchalant. All right.
She said yes. And I'll tell you, the wonderful thing too, I've done music for this whole time, but, very under the radar, because for me, it was just a part of the filmmaking. It wasn't really about trying to be a musician. It was just another extension of screenwriting and everything else. But I'm finally putting all that music out there because people have been asking for it for years. So actually now, I think now or tomorrow, just go wherever you stream music and look up my name or Noah's Ark or something, and you'll find the songs that you've heard in the show, and other stuff too. I'm gonna release music from all of my projects. So.
Oh, that is great. Okay, we definitely have to.
Honey,
do that.
she's spanning mediums, honey.
Okay. All right, so just on and not saying that this interview was heavy, but I kind of want to get on a lighter note, because what I love about shows like Noah's Ark, what we love about Sex and the City, Golden Girls, these type of shows where you fall in love with the characters, is that everyone says, I'm this person, I'm the Noah, I'm this. So when Noah's Ark was out, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I was Chance, and I proudly exclaimed that I was Chance, and would like to everyone to know that I've now grown into a very much of, no, I wasn't Chance, I was Ricky back in the day. I've now grown into a Chance. Yeah, I was a Ricky back in the day. I was
I was gonna say, because Karamo, I knew you back in the day.
Darryl, you about to say no, don't play it.
That ain't what I remember.
I was a Ricky, excuse me, I was a Ricky back in the day. I was pulling it up, and now I've turned into a Chance, a father. there's still a Ricky in this pinky right here, or this finger. There's still a Ricky.
Careful where you put that finger.
Okay. But I want to know from each of the cast members, outside of the character you played, who are you? Which character defines who you are? And so we can just go down. Let's start with Darryl. Who are you?
Wait. Let me get some clarification here. Who are we if we're not
your own
person
show?
We play in the show?
Yes.
But in our show, not another show.
Not another show. In your show. In Noah's Ark.
I was gonna say Carrie and Miranda is who I would associate myself with, but maybe a little Charlotte too. But that's not the question.
Yeah.
The question is who on this show? Noah.
No, outside of Noah. Are you really Noah in real life? Because I do know you, and you do have that creative and whatever.
Well, yeah, because I'm a writer too, so I have a lot of similarities to that character. I would say, maybe Chance, right? Maybe a little Chance. I'm a little academic at times.
I can see that. I can see Chance.
Kind of booed up. Yeah, sure. I could be a Chance.
Rodney, what about you?
Alex.
Now listen, I'm going to say that Patrick wrote the role for me, so I'm sure I can tell you that obviously I think Rodney is Alex. You know, I mean, Alex is a little bit more over the top than I am, but I am crazy.
No, he ain't. He is not more over the top than you. You lying. You lying.
I was gonna say it.
The prosecution rests, Your Honor. Like,
No, I say you have to bring some of who you are anyway to the character. So I would say, I would really just say me, really, Alex.
Okay then. Christian, what about you?
I'll first say that I think everybody has a little bit of Ricky in them. Just
Thank you.
generally.
Thank you.
As
I
head.
wish
That is
they
true.
did.
But I think okay, so I'm a professor now, so I'd have to say Chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Look what happened. We all maturing and we turn into chances on them.
Yeah.
Everybody becomes a chance eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
you got to grow up a little bit.
Yeah. Jensen, what about you?
Brandy.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I don't. To be
Baby
honest,
Gat. You're more Baby Gat than anybody.
Baby.
Jesus.
I don't know. We ain't seen Jensen on Noah's Ark. I don't think we.
True. You've not seen Jensen.
You're right.
We have
Not
not.
seen Jensen.
You know what? Knowing you personally, I agree with that. Wilson, what about you?
I don't know. I think, given the fact that I've been here alone, trying to figure out my singlehood, I'm gonna go with I'm a little bit Ricky these days.
Amen.
With no sex. But yes. I also want to say, because I feel like that's a wasted question for me, that I would much rather my mother had found a Noah's Ark DVD than what she actually found in my bedroom when I was 13.
Right? All of us.
Same.
Gregory, what about you?
I'd have to say that my character's pretty much close to how I am, but that's more. I have to attribute that to Rodney, because Rodney's his natural personality helped me to kind of like develop that character. So he didn't necessarily try to push me too far outside of my bounds of comfort, but he did it enough to where it says, okay, I can be the character. I can still add a little bit of myself to it. So I'd have to say the character that I am, Trey.
Nice. And Patrick, what about
That's
you?
not fair.
It probably would be Noah. It was, I don't tend to write from my own life, but when I created that character, and I was trying to figure out what is the origin story in that first episode and how he and Wade meet, I did take sort of the nugget of that from something in my own life. But just in that he's a hopeless romantic, which I'm hopelessly romantic, and a writer, very passionate about my work and all of that stuff. It really, when I created Noah, it was about wanting to show the life of a creative and how it's ups and downs. It's not always financially rewarding. It's a struggle, and I think I'm still that way today. So I am and forever will be a Noah.
Hold on, Doug.
I'm gonna switch mine to Noah too, then.
Oh yeah. It's all right, Wilson. I got some Ricky in me too, so it's all right. You know. Hold on, Doug, did we get?
I mean, Junito's had a lot of Ricky in him, but I'm just saying.
Okay. Doug, I can't remember if we got your answer. I'm sorry. Doug, did we get who you are?
No, everybody said Chance. We haven't asked Doug yet.
Doug, who are you?
God, this question is making my heart palpitate. So, who do you think? Let me ask you. Who do you think?
Well, because you're creative and I would say you're a bit of Noah mixed with Ricky.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I would say.
I'll take it. That's good. Thank you.
Exactly what I would say.
This has been
I know.
extraordinary catching up with all of you. I feel my heart is so full right now. This has been an amazing experience for us to all have something that meant so much to the culture, to the world, to have it come back in a time right now where we're all at home and we need something that's positive, fun, full of light, full of love. Anybody watching this, the Entertainment Weekly audience, everyone at home, everyone on Twitter, let's start tweeting, bring Noah's Ark back right now. I'm starting it because I need this on the air. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for living in your truth, being such amazing talents, and giving us something that truly defined a culture. So thank you to all of you. On behalf of
Thank
everyone.
you, Karamo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love you
you.
all. And thank you to everyone who has joined the Entertainment Weekly Noah's Ark after reunion Q&A. Also, remember, Noah's Ark is actually helping a nonprofit, Moby. And if there's other nonprofits that you want to support, make sure that you go out there and support them. There are a lot of Black and gay organizations, brown and gay organizations. Yeah, come on in, Patrick.
Actually, we're supporting 7 Black LGBTQ organizations. We're raising money for all 7. So go to the GoFundMe or wherever you find the links and donate. They're very, very supporting Black trans women just released from jail, Black trans women seeking asylum. The AIDS crisis in Birmingham. There's a wonderful organization, the Oakland LGBT Center, Moby, et cetera. We picked a really nice cross section of important organizations, and they're all struggling during obviously the shutdown. So, we need to take care of our own. So give.
Yeah, I mean,
Amen.
Hey, Karamo, you pretty good at this.
Oh, appreciate it. I tried.
Yes.
But I appreciate
Yes.
it. Thank you. So again, what you all give to us, and you've given us so much love, laughter, light. And so thank you for making sure that not only is this project, helping all of us, but also is giving back to these 7 organizations. And everyone, again, as Patrick said, please go find the links, donate, do what you can, whether it's with your money, your time, or your voice, because all of it equally matters. And before I get off of here, I want to make sure everyone knows, go vote, because
Please.
every opportunity we have, the reason that you
Please.
see these men here and all of us walking in our truth as Black, brown, queer, is because we are fighting in a world that sometimes doesn't see us. And so we need your support. Go vote, do what you gotta do. Again, thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Make sure you're registered right now. Make sure you're registered right now.
Make sure you're registered. Listen, everyone.
White people do the right thing.
Say it again.
Please, white people.
White people do
Please,
the
white
right
people.
thing. Please,
Yes.
for the love of God, white people, come the F on. We have had enough. We need you to do, even if you're Republican, we can't take 4 more years. He's gonna kill us all. Okay? Come on.
True story.
Listen to everyone watching. Again, thank you so much for supporting Noah's Ark, for supporting Entertainment Weekly. I was so honored to be here. Again, my name is Karamo. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.